Have you ever worked all day and still felt like your life wasn't moving forward? Like no matter how hard you try, you're stuck? Stay with me until the end, because this story might change the way you see money forever. Not just how to earn it, but how to think about it. And that changes everything. This is the story of Calder Vance. Not rich, not talented, not lucky, just tired. He woke up every morning at 6:10. Same alarm, same cracked phone screen, same ceiling stain above his bed, and the same thought. Is this it? He worked at a warehouse, long shifts, heavy boxes, cold air that cut through his jacket. The smell of dust and metal never left his clothes, even after washing, even after sleep. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't careless, he worked harder than most. But his bank account stayed the same, or worse, lower. Every Friday felt like hope. Every Monday felt like punishment. He watched others move ahead. New cars, better clothes, freedom, and him? Still counting coins at the checkout. He felt invisible, like his life was going nowhere, like he was running but stuck in the same place. One night, he sat alone, lights off, phone in hand, scrolling through people living lives he couldn't afford, laughing, traveling, winning, and something inside him cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet realization: nothing is changing, nothing will change. That sentence stayed. It echoed in his chest, heavy, cold. But here's what most people don't see. That moment, that quiet, painful truth, that's where everything begins. Because pain, when it stays long enough, starts asking questions. And Calder had one. Why them, and not me? He didn't sleep that night, just stared at the ceiling, watched shadows move across the wall, listened to the ticking clock. And then a memory hit him. He was 10 years old, sitting on the floor, watching his father count bills at the kitchen table. The room smelled like burnt coffee. The air felt tense. His father sighed, again and again, then said something Calder never forgot. We don't have money because people like us don't make money. At the time it sounded normal, like truth, like fact. But now, years later, that sentence felt different. Heavy, limiting, dangerous. Because what if that wasn't reality? What if that was just belief? That question didn't give him comfort. It gave him discomfort. And discomfort is where change hides. The next day at work felt different. Same place, same noise, same routine. But his mind wasn't the same. He started noticing things. Who complained? Who moved with purpose? Who wasted time? Who used it? And more importantly, how they thought. There was a guy. Older. Quiet. Always calm. Name was Orson Hale. He wasn't the fastest worker, but somehow, he never looked stressed. No rushing, no complaining, no panic, just focus. Calder watched him for days, then weeks, until one moment changed everything. It was a slow afternoon, machines humming, boxes stacked high, the air thick with heat and dust. Calder dropped a package. It burst open. Items scattered across the floor. He froze, frustrated, embarrassed. Great, just great, he muttered. Orson walked over, didn't rush, didn't react, just crouched down and helped pick things up. No judgment, no lecture, just silence. Then he said something simple, but sharp. You're not tired because of work. You're tired because you think like a poor man. Calder looked at him, confused, almost offended. What does that even mean? Orson stood up, wiped his hands, looked him straight in the eye. It means you trade time for money, and call that the only way. Then he walked away. No explanation, no follow-up, just that line. And somehow, it stayed louder than anything else. That night, Calder couldn't scroll, couldn't relax, couldn't ignore it. You think like a poor man, the words repeated. Over and over. He felt angry, defensive, lost. But deep down, he felt something else. curiosity. Because for the first time, someone didn't tell him to work harder. They told him to think differently. And that scared him. Because thinking differently means everything you believed might be wrong. And if that's true, then the problem wasn't his job. It was his mindset. And that is a harder enemy to face. The next morning, he woke up earlier. Not because he had to, but because he wanted answers. He didn't know where to start, didn't have a plan, didn't have guidance. Just one question burning inside him: what if I've been doing it wrong this whole time? And that question was the first crack in his old life. Because once you question your reality, you can't unsee it. And Calder Vance was about to learn something most people never do. Money isn't just earned, it's understood. The next few days felt strange. Like Calder was walking through the same life, but seeing it for the first time. Every sound was louder, every habit more obvious. The warehouse noise, the clanking metal, the dull conversations, the constant complaints. It all felt different now. And Orson's words, they didn't leave. You think like a poor man. Calder hated that sentence, but he couldn't prove it wrong. So instead of ignoring it, he did something uncomfortable. He approached Orson. It was early, before the shift. The air was still cold, quiet, almost peaceful. Orson was sitting alone, drinking black coffee from a scratched mug. Calder hesitated, then sat across from him. I need to understand what you meant. Orson didn't look surprised, didn't smile, just nodded. Most people don't ask, he said quietly. Calder leaned in. Then tell me. Orson took a slow sip, then said something that hit harder than expected. Poor thinking isn't about how much money you have. It's about how you see money. Calder frowned. I work hard. Isn't that enough? Orson shook his head. That's the trap. Silence. Then, you've been taught one thing your whole life. Work more, earn more. But that's a loop, not a ladder. Calder felt that, deep, because it was true. Every extra hour he worked just made him more tired, not free. Orson leaned forward slightly. Let me ask you something. If you stop working tomorrow, how much money do you make? Calder didn't answer. He already knew. 0. Orson nodded. That's not income, that's dependency. The word stung. Dependency. Calder looked down at his hands. Rough, tired, used. So what's the alternative? He asked quietly. Orson paused, then gave him the rule. Just one rule, and it would change everything. Just one rule. Stop working for money. Start making money work for you. The sentence felt simple, too simple, but also impossible. How? Calder asked, almost frustrated. Orson stood up, placed the empty mug down. You don't need more effort. You need a new lens. And just like that, he walked away again, leaving Calder with another unfinished answer. That became a pattern. Orson never explained everything. He dropped pieces and walked away. And somehow, that made Calder chase them more. That night, Calder didn't scroll again. He searched videos, articles, anything about money. Not how to earn it, but how it works. At first, it was overwhelming. Words he didn't understand. Concepts that felt distant. Assets, liabilities, cash flow. It felt like a different world. A language he was never taught. And for a moment, he almost quit. This isn't for me, he whispered. That old belief, creeping back in. People like us don't make money. But then, he remembered something. That night. That ceiling. That feeling. Nothing is changing. Nothing will change. And something inside him pushed back. No, not this time. So he kept going. Slow, confused, but moving. Days turned into weeks. He started small. Listening during breaks. Reading after work. Watching instead of scrolling. Less entertainment. More education. And it wasn't exciting. It was frustrating. Because growth is quiet and uncomfortable. One evening, he tried his first step, a small one. He saved money. Not much, just a little. And instead of spending it, he invested it. It felt wrong, like he was losing money. His chest tightened when he clicked confirm. What if I lose it? That fear was loud, but he did it anyway. And then, he checked it the next day. Down. Of course, his heart dropped. Great. I knew it. That was his micro-failure. Small, but powerful. Because in that moment, everything inside him screamed, go back. This isn't for you. You're not built for this. He almost listened, almost quit. But then, Orson's voice echoed again. You don't need more effort. You need a new lens. So instead of quitting, he did something different. He waited. 1 day, 2 days, a week. The number moved. Up, down, up again. And slowly, something shifted. Not in his account, in his mind. For the first time, money wasn't just something he earned. It was something that moved, something that could grow without him being there. That idea lit something inside him, a small spark, but real. And this is where his life changed. Not instantly, not dramatically, but directionally. Because once you see a new path, you can't go back to walking in circles. Calder still worked, still woke up early, still lifted boxes. But now, he was building something else. Quietly, patiently, he cut expenses, tracked every dollar, learned where his money went. It wasn't pretty. It was discipline. There were nights he wanted to quit, days he felt stupid, moments he doubted everything. But he kept going. Because now he had something he didn't have before. Awareness. And awareness changes behavior. Weeks turned into months. His habits changed. Then his results started to follow. Slowly, painfully slow, but real. And one night, he looked at his account again. Not massive, not life-changing, but different. Different enough to prove one thing. He wasn't stuck anymore. He whispered something under his breath. Soft, but powerful. I'm not broke. I was just untrained. That was his identity shift. Not a worker chasing money, but a learner, building freedom. And once that identity changes, everything else follows. But the journey, it was far from over. Because learning how money works is just the beginning. Mastering it, that's a different game. And Calder was about to face that next level. Months passed, quietly. No big celebration, no dramatic breakthrough, just small changes, stacking, one on top of another. Calder's life still looked the same from the outside. Same warehouse, same uniform, same early mornings. But inside, everything was different. He no longer rushed through his days. He observed them, measured them. Every dollar had a purpose. Every decision had weight. He stopped buying things to feel better, stopped chasing distractions, because now he knew something most people ignore. Money listens to behavior. Not Jelania, not wishes, and his behavior was changing. But growth isn't a straight line. One evening, everything shook. The market dropped, hard. His small investments fell, fast. He stared at his screen, numbers turning red. Again. And again. That old feeling came back. Heavy, familiar. What are you doing? You're losing money. His chest tightened, breath shallow. For a moment, he was back in that dark room, phone in hand, doubt everywhere. Nothing is changing. Nothing will change. The same sentence, the same fear, this time louder. Because now, he had something to lose. He stood up, paced the room. The air felt thick. He wanted out, wanted to sell, to run, to go back to what felt safe. And that's when he did something different. He didn't act. He went to Orson. It was late, the warehouse empty, lights dim. Orson was there, sitting, calm as always. Calder didn't sit this time. I'm losing money. Orson looked at him, unmoved. No, he said. You're losing confidence. That hit deeper. Calder exhaled, frustrated. What if this doesn't work? Orson stood up slowly, walked closer. What if it does? Silence. Then he said something Calder would never forget. You don't build wealth by avoiding loss. You build it by understanding it. Calder looked at him, listening. Right now, you're reacting. That's what poor thinking does. It chases comfort, runs from pain. Orson stepped closer. Wealth thinking, it studies both. Calder's breathing slowed. You said you wanted freedom. This is the price. Uncertainty, discomfort, patience. Then, if you quit now, you prove your old belief right. That line cut deep. Because it was true. Calder stood there, quiet, still, then nodded. Not confident, not fearless, but committed. That night, he didn't sell. He stayed. And something inside him grew stronger. Not his money, his discipline. Days passed, then weeks. The market recovered, slowly, and so did his numbers. But more importantly, so did his mindset. Because now, he wasn't reacting anymore. He was thinking, like someone building something bigger than today. And that's when things started to accelerate. Opportunities appeared. Not by luck, by awareness. He noticed gaps, ideas, small ways to create value. He started something simple, a side income. Nothing glamorous, just solving a small problem for a few people. It paid little at first, but it was different. Because it didn't depend on his hours. It depended on value. That shift, everything. He worked on it after shifts, late nights, tired eyes, heavy body, but a clear mind. Because now, he wasn't escaping his job, he was replacing it. Piece by piece, month by month. The side income grew, slowly, then steadily, until one day, it matched a week of his warehouse pay. Then two, then more. And for the first time, he saw it. Not a dream, not hope. A path, real, possible. He didn't quit his job immediately. He didn't rush, because he wasn't desperate anymore. He was strategic. That's wealth thinking. Not fast, not emotional, calculated. And one morning, everything changed. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet decision. He walked into the warehouse, looked around, the noise, the dust, the repetition, and felt nothing. No anger, no frustration, just gratitude. Because this place was never the enemy, his thinking was. He found Orson, standing in the same spot, like always. I'm leaving, Calder said. Orson nodded, like he already knew. Good, he replied. Calder hesitated. Why did you help me? Orson looked at him, slight smile. Because someone once helped me, then added. Now it's your turn. Calder walked out that day. Not rich, not finished, but free in a way he had never felt before. Because freedom doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your mind. And from there, everything follows. Now let me ask you something. How long will you keep working without changing the way you think? Because the truth is simple. Most people don't stay broke because they lack effort. They stay broke because they protect the mindset that keeps them there. And here's the part most won't say out loud. Most people will hear this, feel something, and still do nothing. Don't be most people. Try this for 30 days. Track every dollar. Learn one thing about money daily. And most importantly, change how you think about it. Because the moment your thinking changes, your life begins to follow. And when it does, come back and tell your story.